You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Hello and welcome to Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about Jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a blue belt who trains at Base of Longview, located in Longview, Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Crowe.
How's it going?
It is going well. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Good, just busy, living life,
Yeah, aren't we all right?
That is true.
Well, let's get right into it. Go ahead and, if you want to formally introduce yourself one more time, and then let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Walter Crowe. I am 35 years old. I train at the Base of Longview in Longview, Washington. We're a Checkmat affiliated gym. My black belt professor is Christopher Deely. He has his own gym out of Vancouver, Washington, which is like 35 minutes south of us. And then my coaches are Ryan Hart and Amy Hart, which Ryan will have his black belt, I think, here in like a month. And then his wife's a brown belt also at the moment. I've been training jiu-jitsu, which is my wife and I, for about 2 years and a couple months now. Mm-hmm. We started actually training jiu-jitsu during COVID, which was kind of weird because there wasn't really many gyms open. And then we found this tiny little hole in the wall gym in Kelso, Washington that was like allowing to train, and that's how we met our coaches. And then just kind of fell in love with it, man. Like, I mean, everyone kind of says that, I think, or maybe it takes different time lengths for some people, but I think we just kind of fell in love with it like instantly. Like after the first class, we were both just hooked, and it was fun because we could do it together, right? My wife and I. So it was cool to have something in common that we can go do and just kind of enjoy the whole process of it, from starting out as a no stripe white belt to just continuously moving, forward through our part of the journey so far. It's just been a lot of fun. So yeah, that's kind of the beginning of it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I mean, I think that having a partner to go like start with me, like my wife, like starting with us at the same time, that's been super helpful, like through like kind of the ups and downs of it, from like those beginning stages, those like really hard days as white belts. It's just like, oh gosh, but it's definitely nice to have her.
So, do y'all compete or anything, or is this right now you just like to train?
So we've each competed once so far. So, I think she will compete again, but me being as broken as I am already, like I've had reconstructive knee surgery twice already. Not from jiu-jitsu. I raced motocross for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And, I have quite a few injuries from that. And, sometimes obviously, and like I've done one competition so far, and it's just the level of aggression that can go to, I just choose not to, because I cannot afford to get hurt like that. Like if my knee gets messed up and I have to go through surgery again, I can't walk for like 6 months, and then it's just a really long healing process from my injuries that I've already had, and I just can't afford to do it. So I choose not to. Mm-hmm. Especially right now, like as we all know, blue belts are just varsity white belts, and we're super spazzy. Some of us, and they just got definitely something to prove a lot of the times. I mean, you probably find that through all levels of it, but I see it a lot in like white belts and blue belts, just as from being in my area and the schools that I visit and stuff like that. It's just not worth putting myself out there.
Yeah, especially after, having so many surgeries, man. There's only so many your body can take.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and you feel it even after like hard days of training. It's just like, gosh, and like being, not that I'm old by any means, but it's just, you feel old sometimes.
Oh
And
yeah.
so,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that's just kind of, I do want my wife to compete more because, as a woman practitioner, and she's like super long and lanky and just tiny, she's very, I've seen it, I guess, more, I guess, just in girls in general, but they're so technical with their techniques and having to, perfect those. She's good. I mean, not that I just praise her because she's my wife, but she is a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner at her level. So I hope to
Hmm.
see her compete some more. She's competed once and she didn't lose, but she didn't win, I guess, if that makes sense, because it wasn't a points. It was just a sub only. And
Hmm.
she didn't get sub, but she didn't sub anyone either. So it was just kind of
So it's
like a
like a
draw,
draw.
I guess. Yeah. But I definitely want to see her do it some more. I think she would benefit from more of it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's where we're at with that kind of stuff. It's mostly just a lot of gym days. I do visit a lot of gyms. So I'm a journeyman carpenter in the union. So I travel quite a bit. So I'm able to spend a lot of time in other cities and stuff like that. So that is kind of I guess, my form of kind of like a kind of a comp. I get to go visit all these other gyms, and so that is fun to do.
Yeah, just like just a traveling jujitsu practitioner for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a Ronin samurai. I'm just out here traveling and
Just
just seeing all these other gyms, which is fun, because I've seen a lot of good and a lot of bad. It's given me a good perspective on the jiu-jitsu community as a whole, and just
hmm
kind of definitely what I like and what I don't like about some gyms I've learned. But
Okay, so did you want to dive into that, or did you just kind of want to
oh
just?
yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
we definitely can.
Okay.
Um, so I think like being able to travel and see other gyms and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know like how your guys' gym is by any means, but so like the gym I come from it's pretty small, right? Like when I first joined jujitsu, I was training at a place called Juggernaut with my coaches currently, and then we were only there for like 6 months, and then they left, and we were able to start like our own gym.
hmm
Like there was like 7 of us students or 6 of us original students that just kind of helped crowd fund my coaches to like so they could open up their own actual gym. So it's like very small still. Like I think there's like 35 or 40 adults like total, and then there's quite a few kids, but so it's pretty small. Most class sizes are like 15, 20 adults, if that. And so, and there's a lot of lower belts. Like we only have a couple purple belts that have just recently joined. And I think as far as original members, I think I'm like one of the highest ranking ones.
hmm
Out of like the original 6 that have started. And so I come from this super small little like family orientated gym that's just very, we all know each other. We all have barbecues together, stuff like that. We're all, extremely close.
Right.
And then you go to these other gyms that are just either super big or they're kind of medium size or whatnot. And you notice that some of them are extremely welcoming and have made me feel like just straight at home. Like, I think one of my favorite gyms that I go to every once in a while is up in Seattle, Washington, and it's called Sleeper Jiu Jitsu. And it's ran by this lady called Cindy Hales, which she's awesome. I think she's a third degree black belt under one of the Gracies. She's won worlds a couple times in her class as a woman. And she's just super awesome. And her gym was like super welcoming. But I've also gone to other gyms, which I won't name just because I'm not trying to bash anyone. But they just aren't very welcoming, right? Like you walk in there and it's instantly everybody's just kind of like eyeballing you, like, oh, who's this new person? And then like you try to like roll with some of them and they just straight, like they just put you to the absolute test of like what you're doing or whatnot, or like not so much maybe in a mean way, but just kind of like like where are you coming from type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And which is good and bad, I guess, in itself, but I think it's more bad kind of in that sense because it kind of turns people away. Because if you don't know, like, because obviously I'm not, most of the time I don't tell them like, hey, I'm just like visiting type of thing. I just kind of show up and talk to the coach or the professor and tell them I'm visiting, right? But most of the students, I just, because you're just meeting all these people so fast, and then all of a sudden they just like want to test you, and it's like you don't know if I'm like trying to join maybe or not. And I think that kind of turns people away sometimes. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're new to a school and then you just get your ass beat, you're probably not going to want to come back right away. And so I think that sometimes that can be a bad thing. But um so yeah, I guess those kind of things, but there's just good and bad in all of it. And from being able to visit so many gyms, I have kind of experienced both sides of it. So I don't know. I think that's. Do you guys see any of that kind of stuff like in your gym? Like when do people randomly like show up or like visit and stuff like that, and or just are trying to try it out? I'm
Uh,
sure you see some of that.
yeah, we have people who come, like a lot of people come and go, believe it or not. Well, it's not that unbelievable. It's a martial arts school, so it happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, we have people who will come in. We're a very small school, and it's funny how like when I talk to people, including you, saying like we have a small school, and your definition of small is like 30 people. Like
Yeah.
ours
Oh.
is, so in that light, our school is tiny because we got like 12.
Oh gosh.
Like
Okay.
yeah, give
Yeah.
or take about 12 students at
Yeah.
the most. So we usually get maybe like 6 or 7 yeah, about 6 or 7 people on a regular. I would love to
Gotcha.
see our school grow, but I love the size that it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, when we have visitors that come and just want to try out, we don't pressure them. We don't pressure them to do anything.
Gotcha.
So if you were coming, just say for example, you were just coming in, or you were with someone and they was training, we'll offer you like, hey, you want to learn this stuff, or you want to try it out. You tell me like,
Yeah.
no, we just checking out the school. Okay, fine. If you got any
Yeah.
questions, let us know. Like we welcome everybody with open arms. We don't like
Yeah.
to deter people away or anything like that. But
No,
that's
that's cool.
yeah, that's like kind of one of my I'm not gonna say fears of mine. When you're talking about like going to other schools, because me and my training partner, we was thinking about just kind of like driving through Michigan and just like visiting other jiu-jitsu schools.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we usually try to like think about, like us being, we're both brown belts. I don't want to go to a school and thinking just because I'm an upper belt they're gonna try to like destroy me. Like I
Oh
just
yeah.
want to I just want to come and join a class, do a drop in class with you guys, maybe talk and conversate and network. Like I don't want to come
Yeah.
get beat up, and I'm not trying to hurt. I don't want to hurt nobody either. So
Yeah. No, for sure. And especially at that level, and that's, I think you hit that the nail right on the head with that, like being such a small school, like it makes sense that you guys are like that, right? Because I remember when we first opened the doors at the base of Longview, there was like 6 of us, like including the coaches.
mm-hmm.
And so it was like it was small, for their first few months, and then it kind of blew up. But I think because we had another jiu-jitsu school that closed during COVID, and like a bunch of their members integrated into our school. And so that was kind of like the main rise of like the members or whatever. But I do miss only having like 6 of us. It was definitely a little more family, you know, orientated, I guess, or not like family orientated, but you just felt more like a family, like a close family with such few people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and I get the whole fear thing too, man, about wanting to visit, because even just being a blue belt visiting, and I think there's kind of a stigma too, though, with me being a blue belt and showing up at other gyms. Unfortunately, because you have that like, oh, blue belt, um, you know, I don't know what they say over there, I guess on the East Coast, but like over here, a lot of blue belts, you just like, oh, they think they know everything, or they're just, you know, super like hard headed and aggressive and whatnot, and kind of still spazzy, which some of us are. By all means, we're still learning, like
Yeah.
as a blue belt, you're just barely grasping concepts of jujitsu.
You're
And
like
so,
a high rank white belt.
exactly, you're a varsity white
Yeah,
belt, is how
that's
my
what it
coach
was.
explained
Varsity
it.
white belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the truth of it, really.
Hmm.
I mean, every white belt wants to kill you, and all your other blue belt buddies or brothers or whatever are just like trying to, you know, one up each other. And then all the upper belts are just like, gosh, get this little kid away from me type of thing. But
It's so crazy. Just excuse me. Just listening to other people's stories, especially at blue belt, and we always talk about those like that's like the rank that usually people either just walk away from it. Like once they get their blue belt, they just stop training.
yep, they
Man,
quit.
it just really dawned on me like how bad is it? Like how bad it is at at blue belt.
It's bad,
It's
dude. It's
rough.
a hard one.
It's
It
rough.
really is.
it is
It
it
really
is so
is.
rough because you're that quote unquote varsity white belt. You have you have the hugest target on your back because like you're upper rank but just enough where those white belts like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he's just turned blue belt, I can still probably take him, and it'll I tapped the
Yeah,
upper belt. But then
exactly.
purple belt, you still kind of have that target, but it gets a little thinner.
Yeah.
And then brown and black is just like, yeah, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, 100%, right? And that is so true because, and I feel it so much, like in my own gym or traveling or whatever it may be. It's like as a blue belt, it's like, okay, I mean, I'm kind of developing my own game, right? Like things that I like to do, things that I find I'm successful with, my strengths, the things I definitely don't like to do or don't even try to do because it's just not there yet.
Uh huh.
And then like you go and it's like every white belt definitely wants to kill you. And I'm not very big, right? I'm only 5'8". I weigh 170 pounds. I'm not like some big dude by any means. And I'm not like super strong or nothing like that. And so like you get big white belts, big dude white belts, like those big old alphas, that either they're just like starting or maybe they've been going somewhere else or whatever it may be, and they just want to rip your head off, man. And it
Mm-hmm.
sucks sometimes because yeah, as like, because I think in my stage, like I can't speak for every blue belt by any means, but there's definitely like a pride thing and being like a male, and that's something I think in jiu-jitsu most dudes have to deal with anyways, is like our pride and our ego.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you don't really want to get submitted by a lower belt because it's partly that ego thing. It's like, fuck, it's kind of embarrassing, right? Especially if they're brand new. You're like, God, I don't want this dude to catch me in something crazy, and like he just started. But it's
Yeah.
also, it just happens, but it's just something that every person has to deal with on their own. But it definitely sucks, dude, being a blue belt. The struggle is real, and there's so much hate and memes and just mean things that people say about blue belts that aren't even true, but some of it definitely is true. And it is a tough life, man. I mean, I love my journey, and I love, being able to put the belt on, but I definitely will be a lot happier when it changes color again.
Just wish you could skip that blue belt, right?
Yeah, man. Well, no, I don't actually, because I think the lessons that you learn at this part of the journey are lessons that you're going to take with you through your whole life.
Oh yeah,
And
of course.
I'm sure that's the same with every belt color and every, because I think in jiu-jitsu we learn both sides, females and males. We learn so much about ourselves and how to deal with, certain circumstances, and just we learn how to deal with certain things, and those things I feel like you could only learn by being beat the shit out of, by
Mm-hmm.
being submitted 1,000 times, by being in positions to where we feel like we have absolutely no control about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those things in life, because those kind of lessons in life we don't learn unless we're put in these crazy positions. And most of the time, most people are never put in those kind of positions. And in jiu-jitsu, we deal with that stuff consistently.
On the daily.
Yeah, exactly. And so I love the lessons that we learn. And, just even the stuff that I've learned already, just about myself and dealing with, certain things as a male and like, somebody that battles with like depression and stuff like that. It just kind of, jiu-jitsu has taught me so many valuable lessons that I'll never quit. There's no way. Like, I can never quit doing this.
Nah, I'm right along with you, dude. There's no way I can stop doing jujitsu. Like until my last breath, man. I'm gonna be on the mats.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this for life, man.
Yeah, I feel it, man. And it's like, I fell in love with it right away, right? Like, I fell in love with jiu-jitsu and the craft, and like, man, this is really cool. Like, I've always watched like UFC and stuff like that growing up and whatever, and like you grow up seeing, watching these like old tapes of like Royce Gracie and these crazy things, like holding on to ponytails and he's just slapping the shit out of somebody. But, and then you watch him submit somebody and it's just like, oh my gosh, dude. And he's like not even half his size and he just made this gigantic dude tap. And so it's like, you grow up watching that kind of stuff and then you finally are, start practicing the craft and you're like, oh gosh, this really does work. Like, it's a real thing. And that's just, it's cool. But then when you actually start doing it, you just fall in love with it. But
yeah, man. I think I fell in love with it. Like I was still a white belt.
Yeah.
When I was like, yeah, I like this. I think I can do this for a while.
Right. Oh yeah. And I think that's how my wife and I were too, like together. Like we both fell in love with it like after the first class. I think more me than she did. I don't think she really likes jiu-jitsu for like the community aspect of it, like our friends and stuff like that, and being like part of a gym that, we're like the first ones that were there. So she just walked in and was staring at me. Speak of the devil. But I think that kind of like community type thing about it definitely helps people stay,
Yeah, and it's so funny how I was talking to a couple friend of mine's about this, and we talking about like when you get older, you get married, so you start looking for like other couples to hang out with or other parents to hang out with, someone that's kind of like in your wheelhouse. And it's funny, even with that now, like I don't hang out with a lot of people besides like my training, the guys I train with. We have 2 kids at home, so it's not like we have like a babysitter that available. So we usually we go out when we can. But at the same time, it's like, man, I want to go out with another jiu-jitsu couple. Like I love hanging out with my my bros. I love them to death, and I love the times we get to spend with my wife. But sometimes like, damn, I want to see if I can find another jiu-jitsu couple to hang out with. Like it'll be fun because we're out, but it won't get weird if one of us start talking about jiu-jitsu because we all do jiu-jitsu.
No, I get that, man, because I had a couple friends. Well, I had a good friend, my friend Sheldon, that when we first started training, he was like a 4-stripe white belt when I first started. And so him and his wife, like we'd hang out with them frequently, and stuff like that and smoke and just kind of hang out and chill. And it's just nice to have that, like that, and even my coaches too, like we get to hang out with them sometimes, like outside of the gym, not so much now, but we used to hang out quite a bit when we first started. And like, even when they left the gym that we all started at and met at, like when they left there, we were like training out of my garage for a minute and like out of his living room and just wherever we can do jiu-jitsu, we were doing it. And it's nice to have those connections and like the couples and just the people that you can hang out with outside of the gym, that you still have that, it's almost like a battle buddy, I think. You
Yeah.
know, like it's like, no matter what happens, like outside, when you're outside together in public, it's like, that's my, that dude's just gonna, he's there for you, like your teammates. You sweat and cry and bleed together. It's just
Uh-huh.
it's a different kind of bond.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, my I call them my brothers. I don't even call them friends or training partners. It's weird calling them training partners. Like my brothers are, I love these guys to death. We talk every day.
Yeah.
We train almost every day. We talk every day. We hang out almost every weekend, especially if there's like, UFC events, or any type
Gotcha.
of, so any type of events of the sort, man, we're all hanging out, and I love it. I love it. Love these guys like so much. And I think it's important to have like such a strong relationship with people that you train with if you can, because it just makes your growth so much better, because you have that person that knows you, a little bit more, quote unquote intimately, because you guys hang out outside the gym. So they know your struggles. They know, if there's anything that's going on, and they'll push you. They'll definitely be more likely to push you because they know your personal growth as well.
Yeah. No, and I think that's so true. And I've been able to see that a little bit in my journey so far with some of my training partners and people that, like the original couple that started. I think there's actually only like 3 of us left though at the gym that were like originally there when the doors, like before the doors even opened. Like we built the floor and everything together. And then now that a few of them have moved away or just kind of found other interest and quit, after they got their blue belts or whatever it may have been, which happened. I mean, well, I guess 2 of them didn't actually quit. They just moved away, but it seemed like they quit, because they moved away. They quit on us, but and then you see that kind of stuff. But then it's just, I'm happy to have the ones that are still there.
Yeah.
And then, but then you deal with all the other, like the kind of dirtier sides of jiu-jitsu too in schools. And I can't really, some of it in my own school too, but there's like drama sometimes, and it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to deal with sometimes with that kind of aspect of like people like clicking up or things of that nature. Then, you're like, oh man, it's just, I don't know, you see some of that kind of stuff too. I don't know if if you've ever had to deal with that kind of stuff personally, but it does there's a grittier side to it for sure.
Thankfully, no.
Oh,
I haven't. Like, when I tell you my school is so chill, like we haven't had any type of drama, happen in our doors. Everybody who trains there, we all talk, we hang out. During the summer, like my instructor will throw like barbecues, or we would have movie nights, so we all hang out together. So it's not like we have anything. No, we never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
Like even down to the new guys, like if they join our school, they're family, so we automatically, like, if they join like that Tuesday, and if there's a UFC event that Saturday, like, hey, you're more than welcome to come hang out with us.
Oh, wow. No, that's awesome. And my instructors are definitely like that too. Like they definitely try to keep everyone, involved, and, they treat you like everyone gets treated equally type of thing,
Yeah.
But I guess maybe because it has grown to be so kind of big, I've kind of just experienced that kind of stuff because of just all the different people there. You just kind of, and not even myself per se, but just witnessing it, some people like kind of click up, and then they like, oh, we don't want to train with this kid, he needs to go train with the other group of people, stuff like that I've seen. And that's just kind of, I think that may just come in once schools get bigger, maybe. I don't know.
Probably. Everyone has their their quote unquote favorites, but that's the fear that I've always had, like, about jiu-jitsu schools, because before I started training where I train at now, I was looking at other schools, not particularly like jiu-jitsu, but I was looking for a martial art to get into before I fell into this one. But just kind
Okay.
of looking at a lot of the knowledge I have now and like the type of person that I am, I look at these super schools where it's like 60 to 70 people on the mats,
Oh yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
man, I would probably like, for one, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable there, but I think if I wasn't like, unless I was like a super high like level person, you would really get lost in those type of schools.
Yeah. No, and that's so true. Because it is. Like I've before, so I moved to like Vancouver school with our professor. And I was just down there for a couple months because I was working down there so much. So I was just training there. And you definitely you can, for sure, people I think do get kind of lost in the mix, because there are so many people. I think he has like 270 students
Oh,
now,
wow.
or a little bit more. And not all of them people are on the mats at the same time by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Deely, he's very successful and he's a great professor. Like, the dude's an excellent coach. He's a great competitor. He's a good person and he's extremely friendly. But I think I think when those schools get so big that some of especially the white belts, I think more than anything, they get kind of just lost in the mix of just like being another face, at least
Mm-hmm.
until they're there enough that they start getting kind of recognized. But you always, in those bigger schools, even like Deely, he has a bunch of other upper belts that help train, and help coach and stuff like that. So, it's just, but there's only so much one person can do, as a
Right.
professor. You could only, interact with so many people in a day or just an hour, in a class. You only have so little time. So,
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff just happens, but,
Yeah, it would kind of feel like you would probably, you'll maybe learn the basics or learn what they were teaching as the basics, but you kind of have to learn jiu-jitsu on your own.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think a lot of, in bigger schools like that, from being part of one and visiting multiple giant schools, I think a lot of times you find, most white belts find an upper belt that kind of adopts them, or one upper belt like adopts a few white belts type of thing.
Right.
I've seen that for sure. And that's cool, because I've had that, kind of experience too, with going to a couple other bigger schools that I've gone like to consistently, that I visited a lot. Because when I was up in Seattle training at Sleeper Jiu-Jitsu, because I was up there working for, like 14 weeks straight or something like that, I was there. So I was at the school a lot. And like I kind of got adopted by a couple upper belts. And that was just kind of a thing, but I think that happens.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, if a lot of mega schools function like that, I guess I can see how that could work.
Yeah, and I wouldn't let the fear of it, man, like of going to like a bigger school or visiting, stop you or you and your friend from going by any means, because there's a lot of really cool people out there, and as you know, and I know from experience too, is that most jujitsu people are pretty chill. Most of them are pretty nice. I've only met a few guys, I think, that I would not really like to ever talk to again. And that's, but I think for the majority, most of us are really chill and good and just genuinely nice people, and so I think, but being a brown belt though, I mean, you might have a target on your back showing up, who knows,
And that's what I don't want, man. And that's what I don't want, because I know that's a high possibility of like, okay, for like, for one, I'm a brown belt, and two, I'm also an assistant instructor. So they like, because it's like, on my belt, I have a red tab on my belt. So if I walk in with that and it's like, oh, this dude knows something.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's so weird. So I've never seen that before. So as an instructor or whatever, you have a red tab on your belt?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. That's weird. They don't do that over here.
It's only I identify as an instructor at my own school.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah.
I just, over here on the West Coast, or at least the majority of schools that I've gone to or visited or like known about, they don't do that. That's weird. Like the red tab thing.
I mean, surprisingly, me too. Like I posted a picture of, I think I was still a purple belt at this time.
Yeah.
I posted I had got like 2 stripes on my purple belt, and people, and like a few people was like, what that red tab mean? What do your red tab mean? Like, how do you have a red tab on your purple belt? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just an instructor or assistant instructor. And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, wow, is that not a thing?
Yeah. No, I don't think it. I mean, it definitely is, obviously, for you guys, but yeah, I don't think as a. And I obviously can't speak for the whole jiu-jitsu world by any means, but I know from, the places that I've been around, yeah, that's, I don't know. Not even my coaches have red tabs. I mean, I've met some black belts that do, but that's because they have ranked up so much that they have like red stripes now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's crazy. No, I just had to ask, yeah, because I've never heard that before. That was new to me. So sorry, I just wanted to ask.
Oh no need to apologize. Because I mean it. You're not the first person to ask about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that means I teach at my school.
Yeah.
So
no,
like,
that's cool. How do you?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask you about teaching and like how So like my wife wants to teach eventually. She's like wants to teach kids and stuff obviously first and stuff like that. She really likes like helping. Like our girls program's pretty small. There's only like 5 or 6 girls at her school. And she just loves like helping the other females and stuff like that. But as like when did you start teaching? Like when did you start helping teach jiu-jitsu at your school?
And ironically enough, I started teaching kids class.
Yeah.
Yep. I started teaching kids class when I was a blue belt. And then eventually, as times went on, I started helping teaching the adults class, or I would take over adults class if my instructor wasn't available. It's me and my other training partner that usually does that. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's why I started with the kids class.
Was that your training partner? Was he like your first interview?
Yeah, Brian. Yep. Brian.
Okay. Yep. I just listened to that one, so I just kind of put the 2 and 2 together. So
yeah, that's my guy right there, man. That's my guy right there. But yeah,
no, that's cool.
Usually me or him teaching if our instructor can't.
And how do you? I mean, I'm assuming you enjoy it because you've been doing it for a while.
Oh man, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Did you got any pointers on things to like when you first start teaching kids or stuff like that? Anything to, a little pointer to throw our way to, any advice? I suppose.
Yeah, no problem, man. For one, when it comes to teaching kids class, obviously you have to have patience with these kids. To keep it simple, like keep it as simple as possible. Like for example, when I teach our kids class, we'll do little warm-ups. We'll do our like a few drills and probably do 1 to 2 techniques.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. Maybe like a takedown or proper positioning, and just kind of play with that a little bit until if you see they're catching up. If they're starting to do this a little bit more fast, they're doing this faster, then you can start adding different techniques. But other than that, we just do basic stuff a lot.
Yeah. Super fundamental stuff.
Yeah,
building
super
blocks.
fundamental. Yep.
No, that makes sense. I just wanted to ask because
no problem.
Just get somebody else's perspective on it, to see how other people go about it. Because I mean, obviously, I got lots of instructors and upper belts and stuff that help teach at our sister's school because it's so much bigger. But it's just always cool to ask other upper belts how they, go about doing stuff like that, or they're just their outlook on it.
Yeah, so. I absolutely love teaching. Because when I did start with the kids class and even to now, I can definitely say it taught me a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Because, you can't just be like yelling at the kids to like, hey, you get that triangle right, or you make sure you're doing this. And
yeah.
So it's like, you're trying to explain stuff to them, and they're still trying to understand how their body works. So you're like,
Oh
okay,
gosh.
okay,
Yeah.
let's try to break this down just a little bit more.
No.
And yeah, it definitely helped me, helped me to be
Uh,
able to teach even even adult classes.
yeah.
Because
No, I would imagine that it gives you kind of the building blocks too. I've helped teach kids class quite a few times at my school. Usually just because I'm there early enough, or I have to bring my daughter to it or something like that, And so, yeah, I just wanted to know, yeah, because you get in there and you start teaching kids, and it's like, patience is definitely one of the hardest things I think I have to learn to master. And like, especially when they start crying and stuff like that, because they get so hard or down on themselves, they don't get a technique or something like that, or, they don't break fall right or something, and then they start crying. And then I'm just like, oh gosh, like for the little girls, I'm such a softie because I have a daughter. So I'm just instantly like, oh, but the boys, I'm just like, toughen up, buddy. Like,
I know, right?
But I think that's, part of just our society in general anyways, is that we treat girls so much differently than we teach boys. But with teaching them, it's just like, oh man, it's tough sometimes I'm glad I don't have to do it all the time by any means, but I think, my wife, she definitely wants to be like a full-time teacher eventually. So
yeah,
that's kind of
now wait until your daughter starts training.
Oh man. Yeah,
because
that's a tough one.
Yeah, because my daughter, my daughter trains.
Okay, and she's 2?
No. That's my youngest. I have a 7-year-old.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
So he's like, wait, she's 2 and she's on the mats already? Yes.
I mean, that's cool, man. I wish, because my daughter, I had her on mats when she was like 2, but she was like rolling around. She definitely wasn't doing nothing.
But she my 7-year-old, she started a few months ago. And I have those moments where it's like, okay, I'm your instructor, but I'm still your dad. So it's like when she's crying, it's like, okay, what do I want to be right now? Do I want to be a coach or do I want to be a dad?
Yeah.
So
that's
I have
a tough
those
one,
internal
man.
struggles, man. It's definitely tough. But
I can imagine.
One thing I've learned, and you can tell your wife this too, bribery always works with kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we was going over scissor sweep.
Yep.
And I think it was like we had like about 6 kids in the class. So I'm breaking it down, showing them how to do it. I showed them like maybe like 3 or 4 times, and then I had them do it. So a couple other kids, they were doing it, but they were just kind of like doing it lazily. It was like, and I was like, okay, I don't want to do it right. Okay, fine. So my daughter, she gets up, she tries it, and she nails it. Boom. And I was like, all right, high five. And I was like, you get 10 ninja points. And everybody else was like, how'd she get ninja points? Like, well, she did it right. We want ninja points. So like, y'all want to try it again? And it was like, yeah. So everyone was hitting scissor sweeps.
Shit. Okay.
Just to get their ninja points.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. Do you guys have like a kids reward system or something? Or is it just like you're just giving them praise? Like, oh, you got 10 ninja points.
Yeah, well, it's more so praise, and then like our instructor got like candy and stuff. Like, okay, we're gonna, your 5 ninja points got you a fruit roll up or something. But
gotcha.
Yeah, just
that makes sense.
That little motivation, positive
Oh
reinforcement.
yeah. No, for sure, that praise, man, and that goes a long ways. It goes a long way with adults and kids. That's, as people in general, we need that affirmation of like, hey, we did something right, and kids for sure. Like my daughter's 5, and we've had her on the mats off and on. She's kind of like has a love-hate relationship. She like wants to do it, but she wants to do gymnastics a lot more. So that's what she does right now. She goes to gymnastics twice a week. But I hope that someday, we don't try to pressure her into it by any means, because I don't want her to hate it. But I think when she's ready, she'll ask, to put the gi back on and to get back into it a little bit more. But she's just such a gentle person right now. She does like, I don't know, she's a little princess, I suppose. So hopefully though, when she gets a little older, I think she'll want to keep doing it.
But, yeah. Cause I was surprised that, my daughter not only started training, but she took to it like very, very well.
Oh, gotcha.
So it was like
Yeah.
when she got older, she would always ask me to come to training with me. Some days I'll take her, some days be like, you know what, no, because I want to stay late, work some stuff, and I don't want to have her out too late. But when
Yeah.
we started back kids class, I told her about it, and she wanted to join. So when she did, like, yeah, she's taken a liking to it. She she works hard, and
That's awesome.
maybe it's just because it's a girl, because we have another girl in our class, and they catch on stuff to so well.
They do.
They work
Yeah.
these techniques well. They understand everything well. It's just the boys, man. I just be like, ugh. We want to punch them.
I think that's how all of us are in life in general. It's just we as males just, we want to do it our own way.
Yeah.
And that's not always the best way by any means. And females they do. I mean, I'm guessing at all ages, they just pick up things so much faster than boys usually, especially when it comes to technical stuff. They just, yeah. Like my wife's jujitsu game is by far cleaner than mine for sure. Like I definitely know more techniques than she does, but the techniques that she does is like flawless and makes mine look like I just threw it together. But that's how we talk about it with each other. It's just they just do. They're way more technical, and they just have to be because they're not nearly as strong as dudes are. I don't, not to offend any women out there, but it's hard to match a male's strength, and
Yeah.
they make up with it with their technique, and so.
Unless you're like built like Gabby Garcia, but
Oh God, yeah, but that's just. I mean, I ain't gonna say nothing about that by any means, but sometimes those girls are just, you wonder if they got a little Deca in them or something, No, I definitely am not saying that she does steroids by any means, but some of those females, you look at them, man, and you're just like, oh gosh, like she is like, look at Chris Cyborg and stuff, they're just gigantic,
man.
Yeah,
so
for
dangerous.
sure.
So dangerous.
Oh. Yeah, for real. But some women are just naturally strong though too, for sure. Like my coach's wife, Amy, she is, she's not a very tall woman by any means. She's pretty like small, but she is like pretty freaking strong for, and she will, you poke the bear and you find out,
Mhm.
Some of those girls just have that in them. So
yeah, I can definitely say, the few interviews I've had with some female jiu-jitsu practitioners, man, has been so damn awesome.
Yeah.
So damn awesome. And I can't wait for those to post, because I mean, just hearing their stories and just hear how, like, they're dealing with like these tough guys at their school, but they're hanging in there, they're competing, they're rolling harder than a lot of people at their school, and it's like, man, it's such an awesome thing to hear, man.
Oh yeah, and I think I mean, I got into jiu-jitsu just a couple years ago, so I haven't been around it, terribly too long.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely feel like from my experience of like traveling and stuff like that, it seems like more and more females are getting into it. I don't know if it's always been that way, but it definitely seems like for me it's something that I've noticed over the last like year and a half ish, especially after COVID kind of got over.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed there's like a lot more girls trying it, even at our own school. Like we only have like 6 girls that continuously come that are like actual members, but I have seen quite a few females like show up and at least try it,
Mm-hmm.
And that it is cool to see. And some of them do, man. There's some girls that I know that definitely work harder than half the guys in my gym, that's for sure. And whether it's something they just got something to prove maybe, or they're just way more determined, to level up than some guys. But
yeah, I'm hoping and destined to get more bodies in the school. Not too many. I don't want to make it like crowded, but I would love to see new faces, especially like if we get more females in.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's my wife. When my wife trains, and then I have my other training partner when she can train. She just came back. Her and her husband just came back to our school. So we it's
Gotcha.
few and far in between when we get ladies in,
Yeah.
or when we do
Is
if they stay or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that too. Like even at our own school, like females that have come and don't ever come back. And you gotta ask yourself, like, whoa, was it just not for them? Or was it, is it like too intimidating? Is it, because we have like most schools, we have more males than we do females, and it's kind of I know like the main group of our students and the majority of them, we try to welcome most, everyone in with open arms for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But, I mean, when it comes time to roll, like, I always tell them, definitely, and my coach does a very good job of that too. He definitely doesn't, he tries not to, allow females to roll with dudes in our gym that he knows aren't going to be good for him, type
Right.
of thing, and you have to do that. You have to protect your students and you have to protect new people because, if they get a bad taste of it, they aren't going to come back.
Right.
And it's hard. I think that's harder for females too because of that, like that aspect of it, of like going to rolls or open mats or anything like that, because, it's not super comfortable for them sometimes. But
Yeah, it's definitely understandable. It's a pretty thick wall you kind of have to break. I feel like being a lady who is doing a male dominant sport like this, where you have to get really physical
yeah,
with someone, and 9 times out of 10 that person is going to be a guy. So
yep. Oh yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
understand it.
And that's, I'm not a female, so I can't really speak to it per se, but that's just my perspective on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of from having a wife that does it and stuff like that. Cause I've had, we've had dudes show up and roll with her that were just like visiting, and they think, oh, it's just going to be an easy roll. And then they start rolling with her. And then they're like, and you see it, it's like their whole demeanor changes because, well, now they're being attacked and now
Mm-hmm.
and they don't like that, and then like I've seen the dudes never came back, but there was one dude that like left bruises all over my wife, and like I didn't see it happen because I was like rolling with somebody else at the time. And afterwards she came over and was like, yeah, if like he's not nice, blah 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 type of thing. We told the coach dealt with it type of thing, and then the dude didn't want to roll with anyone else after he rolled with my wife. And then he just left, which was super weird because we were all like, what the heck, type of thing.
Right.
But thankfully it didn't like make her never want to do it again, but it definitely made her not want to roll with anyone that she does not know. And
Right.
like as a female, like she will not roll with, if she has not known you for a minute and not like watched you roll a few different times, she won't roll with you. And I think a lot of girls are like that, or should at least be kind of like that. Be definitely cautious of who they're interacting with in the gym in
Oh
that
yeah, of
sense of like
course. Of
rolling with.
course.
And I think, but I encourage every girl to do it, man. They should all try it because it's a great self defense. It's an amazing martial art, and I think that everyone could benefit from it for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. And I say this a lot. Like if anyone listens to this that followed me on Facebook or followed a page or anything, and you guys want to talk a little bit more thoroughly about trying to find how to spot those type of gyms and stuff, by all means reach out to me and I'll
Yeah.
definitely talk to you about it, because
Oh, yeah.
I do want more people to know about it. I want women to actually get into it because it's not only is it a great workout, great stress reliever, it's a self defense, and everyone needs to
Yeah.
learn how to keep themselves protected. So.
Oh, for sure. And even to like kind of touch on that, right? Like to
Mm-hmm.
how do you spot a gym that's not right for you, right? Like from me like visiting so many gyms and having like a real home gym that I love, for sure. I mean, there's only like one other gym I would ever even think about going to, and that's, would never happen because it's so far away. But like going and visiting gyms, I think one of the main things for me that like I always talk to the professor first. I'll either email them or message them, or if they have a Facebook page type of thing, like, hey, I'm in the area, I want to come visit, whatever. And then they, most of them are like, yeah, for sure, no worries, come by or whatever. And then it's like you show up. I think a lot of the things I look for is like not whether it's like some super super fancy school, but like cleanliness
Oh
is
yeah.
definitely one of my like top things. I'm like, okay, is it clean? Like, do they take pride in their mats? Do they take pride in their like space? Right? Because that's a big thing for me. And then like how friendly most people are, because I've been to gyms where every single person came up and introduced themselves to me, like we're just super happy and like happy that I was there, and just were very open. But then I've also gone to gyms where nobody said a word to me, like nothing, like no upper belts, no nothing. There's this completely cold shoulder, and nobody said nothing. And 9 times out of 10, when that kind of thing has happened, I've like literally had to fight. Like when it came time to roll, it was like they were rolling and they wanted to, not like kill me per se, but they definitely like
Def-
tested my ability.
yeah, definitely want to assert that dominance.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of things that people, should be aware of. And there's just that kind of, and every person is going to have their own judgments or their own vibes that they get from places and things like that. But I would just say trust your instincts, man. Like when you show up to a gym, if you feel like it's not a safe space, find a place that feels safe and that is super welcoming and just warm, I guess
Yeah,
is how I would
definitely.
say it.
Like,
And
yeah, that's great advice when it comes to trying to spot those gyms. Yeah, cleanliness is oh my god, I can't even say, like, being the top number one thing is an understatement to me. Like,
yeah.
we definitely, like, we
Yeah.
clean our mats every class, like, no
Oh yeah,
matter
you
no
have
matter what,
to.
like we clean our mats because like we have we have our jiu-jitsu on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we also have kickboxing on Mondays and Wednesdays. So the gym is used a lot, and we definitely make sure
Gotcha.
that the gym is like clean, because you hear horror stories of like this school had to shut down because of staph infections and
Yeah,
ringworm, and it's
dude.
like,
Yeah.
oh man, like what are
And
you guys doing?
yeah. No, and that's a real thing. Like our gym, our coaches teach 6 days a week. They're having jujitsu classes, and most of the time it's like 2 or 3 a day. And
Mm-hmm.
after every single class, they clean those mats, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
they probably go through so much. I'm sure that's 50% of their bill is
It's
just
clean
like
and surprise, yeah.
disinfectant. Yeah. And it's a very important thing, man. When you walk into a gym, if those mats, if it doesn't smell like pine saw in there, it's not very clean, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I
But
need to
and
I need
that's
to
just,
s- I need to smell the cleanliness when I walk into your gym.
yeah. And it's got to be just at least taken care of, because it's like if you walk into somebody's home, right? Like if I walked into your home, and not just like, I mean, there could be clutter because I mean we all got stuff and crazy shit, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if it's like, if there's trash everywhere and things like that, and it's like obviously you're not, you don't take a lot of pride in your home type of thing. And I feel like that's the same thing when you walk into a gym. Like if they don't have a lot of pride in their gym and it's not like clean, then they don't really care.
Yeah.
And that's something that's one of my pet peeves, and one of the things that I look to like when I visit a gym, especially if I'm going to go back and visit again, because a lot of times when I'm out of town, I'm there for like 4 or 5 weeks at a time. And so that's just kind of a thing that I look for, per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah. It's like, and it's like I don't want to be like that weird guy to come to a school and visit like, hey, how often you clean your mats?
Right. You can
Like,
usually tell, I think,
mm,
especially once you step on, like once you finally step on the mats, you can feel it, I think. It's like, do I lift my foot up and it's like black? Well, it probably hasn't been cleaned in a couple days. Because that's happened, man. I've been to some gyms. Oh gosh, especially up in Seattle, I visited some gyms that were like very hole in the wally type gyms. You walk in there and it's like the mats in my garage are nicer than the mats in their gym, and it's and I'm just like, oh man, and it's like you step on them and I've had them straight like turn my feet black, and that's just because they weren't cleaning enough, and that's and that one gym in particular that I remember off the top of my head, that was by far like the dirtiest. It just smelled, I walked in and it kind of smelled like mold, almost like a very musty smell, like a boys locker room.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a good boys locker room smell. It was just very musty, and the mats were like dirty, and it just was not for me. I was just like, nope, can't do it, man. Nice, thank you, but I think I'm gonna go home, back to my hotel room.
Like I'm not a germaphobe of the sort. Like I'm nowhere near a germaphobe, but it's something about these mat, like jujitsu mats, man. Like they need to be clean. Like, oh god. I mean, because obviously because your body's on it, your face is on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I feel it, man. I'm not a germaphobe. Like I've had people's sweat literally drip into my eyeball. Like I'm not
in the eye, in the mouth, about, all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I'm not too worried about people's germs per se, but it's the gym has to be clean. Like that's just a thing. It has to be clean.
I have my standards where I want my germs, sir.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right. Like if you're on top of me and you're just got me locked into some crazy topside triangle or something and you're dripping sweat on me, like that's one thing, dude, but I don't want to be on a dirty mat. Like right. I'm good.
Yeah. I'm A-okay on that.
But I just think that that's something that people should look out for, when they're visiting gyms, especially well, anyone in general, female or male. If you're visiting a gym, definitely worry about cleanliness. Should be one of the top 5 things you look for.
Yeah.
That and just friendliness, and you can usually watch. And I would definitely recommend that any female, like, don't just instantly hop in and start rolling. Like, sit back and watch, and pick your partners very well, and ask. I feel like most of the time you can ask, like, either like kind of like the mat enforcers or the upper belts or just the coach in general or the professor that's running the place. Just ask. They're always, and they should point you in a good direction anyways for being a girl. Like, hey, roll with these people or don't roll with these people or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's a thing.
Yeah, like you literally have to like just think of it as an interview. Like you have like a job interview.
Yeah.
Like
no, exactly.
You go in, you ask your questions, usually I don't know how other schools are, but they don't mind if you just sit on the side and just watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, just look at the people in the classroom, and be like, okay, that person, like, they might not hurt me, or this person is cool, or there's another female that's a higher rank that is my size, and so on and so forth. So you just kind of have to feel it out.
Yeah. Definitely. No, for sure. Oh yeah. No, most definitely, man. Most definitely. Yeah, I think that's my points on people visiting gyms. I feel like that's pretty much what I got for that, man. I think and you have a very good point. It's like it's like an interview. You have to, and even for people that are visiting gyms or trying to just get into jiu-jitsu in general, interview them and go there and just watch or whatever, and there's, because eventually it's going to be like your home. Like that place, once you do join the gym and you get into it, you get hooked, and then it's your life.
And that's your life, yeah.
And that's just the way it is, man. Jiu-jitsu is just a way of getting a hold of you, and that's just,
and it does not let go.
It don't, man. Regardless if you're in a gi or a rash guard, it just does not let go.
It does not let go.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, If
So
you
what,
got,
you got any questions, man, or
I was just about to
what?
ask you, like, you got any other
Yeah.
questions for me, or you want to shout out your school or whatever, man? We can wrap
Um,
it up.
no, I don't really. I mean, because we've already been 100 an hour. I got a billion questions I could ask you. Just from just from being a blue belt and you being like a brown belt. Those. I mean, there's so many questions
Yeah,
that
we
one could
we can
ask.
we can talk. We can talk after. We can talk after the
Yeah,
episode.
but I think that no, I think that that's pretty much it for any kind of question I would have per se. At least about anything that's noteworthy. Yeah, I mean, shout out my school for sure. Like I said, I'm from the base of Longview. If you're ever in Longview, Washington, come visit us. Ryan Hart is our coach, and his wife Amy Hart are very open people, and they're very, their jujitsu game is pretty cool. No, they're very good at what they do. I talk about my coach Ryan. He had the pleasure, like he trained at Team Quest in Portland, Oregon, under Randy Couture, Chael Sutton,
Uncle
Nate
Chill.
Orcher. Yeah, no, for real. And a few of these other guys that have gone on and run like UFC championships. And that's been super cool to have because of that kind of, not only is his jiu-jitsu game pretty solid, but he brings so many different other aspects to it from training under those types of people and those people particular
Mm-hmm.
that it's the style is cool, and like we definitely learned about all of it, and that's been super awesome. And it's cool because I've actually got to meet like Chael Sutton. I haven't got to meet Randy Couture yet because I don't think he lives up here anymore or something like that. But we have got the opportunity to roll and train with some UFC stars, man, guys that have won championships and guys that have been around the block, and that's been super cool. So our gym's definitely awesome, man. It's very legit, and our professor Christopher Deely, he is, his jujitsu game's super cool too. He's pretty good for what he does. I mean, he's a very well-rounded jujitsu practitioner, and I think his style is definitely more sport jujitsu. I think it's definitely more tuned to like comp style stuff, which is great, because I mean, his school, they do go to a lot of competitions and they place high, man. A lot of these guys, a lot of their teammates and stuff are winning golds and
Nice.
going to pans and stuff like that. Um, so it's awesome, man. It's cool to see, and especially in our little like neck of the woods when I do travel, and I get to say, hey, like this is my professor. I've had gyms open their doors for me and not charge me a dime just because they know like the school that I'm coming from and who my professor is. So it's kind of cool. It's a little clout, it's nice.
Right.
But
That's cool. That's
yeah, man.
definitely cool.
So definitely shout out to all of them, man, and my teammates and stuff. And yeah, and to you too, man. If you ever come to the West Coast and visit Washington, and you find yourself in Longview, Washington, come visit, man. Like our doors are always open
Yeah, man.
to everyone.
It's definitely, I'm looking at a lot of the people I talk to on these, on the podcast. Man, I would love to like eventually try to visit as many of you guys, as many of y'all as possible, and in the near
Oh
future,
yeah,
man. So maybe
because you're
we
gonna
definitely
get that a
love it.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna get invited to every person you talk to is gonna invite you to their school. That's just inevitable.
And I
Like,
and I want to do that, man. If I can get to a spot where I can just travel and just do jujitsu and just meet everybody that I interview, man, I'll be good.
yeah, oh
That's
yeah.
that's the
I
goal.
think, yeah, man, that's cool. Like, and I'm thankful for my job because I do get to travel so much. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
do get to visit a lot of schools, but I mean, there's a lot of other schools I would like to just go and visit, in different places and see, and it's kind of the nice thing about being a Checkmat affiliate is because there are so many Checkmat gyms, and that's it's just like a giant family. So that's pretty neat.
Right.
Uh, you know, But yeah, you got any other questions you need to ask, man, or anything that I've mentioned that you want to touch on or ask about, or?
I think I'm good, man. I think we got it.
Yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. So I know that the question's inevitable. You're gonna ask me the three people I'd want to roll with. It seems like that's a pretty ongoing thing in most of your interviews.
Yeah, I usually see if what people's interests are, and who
Yeah,
they want to roll with.
gotcha. No, I just had to preemptively get to that because I thought it was coming, you know.
I mean,
But
I usually like the questions will usually come if I'm like if we can't think of nothing else to talk about, but
oh, okay, gotcha.
But
No,
yeah,
I
no, but
gotcha.
this was very awesome, man. It was like very awesome talking to you.
No, that's cool. I was super nervous, man. Like when at first I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to do the interview, and then you hit me up the other day, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do want to do that interview, but I'm kind of nervous because I don't talk a whole lot to, I mean, I talk to people obviously, but
Right.
I don't talk in like a sense of like, oh man, there's going to be like quite a few people listening to my voice, and that's just kind of scary to me. But I hope that your listeners, I hope that they got something out of the little bits of my story that I was able to kind of touch on, just being a blue belt. And, if there's, I don't know, if it helped anyone in their struggle, just know that it does get easier. And the blue belt hate only goes so far. You just gotta rise above it,
Right.
man, and just know that, and it's all out of love, man. I think that at every level, there's always something like purple belts. They don't ever do warm ups, and so they get shit on for that quite a bit. And I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about brown belts or black belts really.
I
Nobody
haven't
has
either, but
anything to
I'm gonna
say.
have to
Yeah,
search for some. I'm gonna have to search for
yeah.
some.
I don't think anyone says anything about it. It's just all purples and blues and whites, man. Like that's the first three levels of it. You just get a lot of hate, And I don't even think it's so much hate for purple belts as there is blue belts. I think blue belts is one of the most hated belt, or at least talked about, And that's
Yeah.
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
But
that's a whole other thing. But
that's a whole nother. You can do a whole podcast on that, man. Just on hate on the blue belts, like. Gosh, I don't know how many times like I'm a foot person. I go after people's feet and legs and knees quite a bit, and they're always like, "Oh, just damn blue belts, just doing whatever they want to." And so I'm just, it's like, gosh, man, that's just part of my game. They're
this is
like,
part of
Walter,
your
you can't
game,
heel
man.
hook people in the gi. I'm just like, yes, I can.
Yes, I
He's my
can.
friend.
It's a hill there. I'm gonna take it.
Right? No, exactly. It's like I'm not doing a comp, so it's not illegal, but I don't know. But
Right.
no, blue belts, man, we get a lot of hate. But it's all out of love.
All out of
So
love. But
it
yeah,
is.
that's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank Walter again for sharing his experience with us. Please go and follow our Facebook and Instagram page to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live Jiu-Jitsu. Have a great day. And we are done. And we are done. And we are done.